guys, I'm Ryan Cleveland. I'm the design director for multiplayer on Gears of War, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the competitive 2.0 beta that we're running right now, a little bit about why we're doing it, what the process is, and one of the new changes that we're making to it. The competitive 2.0 beta playlist came out of us wanting to bring a lot of the learnings that we've had through our season 1 of our Gears Pro Circuit, as well as feedback that we've got directly from the pros in our play tests and the fans themselves. So we're taking a different approach with this playlist rather than sort of developing it all kind of behind the scenes and bringing it all at once. We're developing it as we go. So we're going to be listening to feedback. We've got ideas from the pro play tests, and we're going to be developing them and releasing them over time and kind of adjusting as we go, because we're taking a layered approach. We're going to start with movement and the shotgun, and because there's such a tight relationship there, the Nashers the depth of the Nasher really combines with movement, and we have to get those two really tightened up and tuned together. Layered on top of that, we're going to move on to the Lancer, and then we're going to move on to secondary weapons and then power weapons. So as part of getting this first step really right, we wanted to take a look at the wall bouncing. We've got feedback from the pros that the current tuning with the wall bounce cancel, the cooldown cancel that we have in there, limits the different play styles of wall bouncing, which in turn limits the amount of variety we see in mid to short range strategies in almost all pro play. And they were saying that everybody kind of has to play the same way. And we wanted to figure out a way of opening that up. And just to give you guys a little bit of history as to why it is the way that it is right now, Gears 3 introduced, actually it was Gears 2, sorry. Gears 2 introduced the cancel during slip to make the game feel more responsive. And that was something we wanted to maintain. We wanted the game to feel responsive for all players, from new players to all the way up to pro players. And the pros that we played with or had talked to initially said that this canceling created like a lack of depth in the strategy for the game, because players could easily get out of almost any circumstance. They weren't punished for sort of playing poorly because they could just bounce their way out of it by a bunch of button mashing. And we decided to take a slightly more restrictive approach for the launch of Gears 4, where we introduced something called the wall bounce cancel cooldown. So that meant that every time you canceled, we kind of would prevent you from canceling for a very short period of time so that you couldn't cancel again. And the idea here is that you had to sort of spend your cancels wisely. Like on your strategy, you'd have to figure out when and where you wanted to cancel. And we tuned that with the pros to kind of find a good sweet spot so that you had to kind of decide when and where you were going to use this. As time went on and over the pro circuit, people figured out kind of the optimal way to game this mechanic, and we always knew it was a bit of a stopgap. It didn't have the depth that we were looking for, but we didn't quite know what to do with this area to bring both responsiveness and like a deep skill. So we came up with a new idea that sort of changes the way that wall bouncing is done. And it sounds a little scary at the beginning, and it's a little bit new to learn, but we're building on everything that's there. We've decided to remove the cancel cooldown and replace it with effectively a cancel shortening. And what this means is whenever you cancel while slipping, your next slip distance for a short period of time has been shortened. And you can almost think of this as short mode and long mode. So normally you're in long mode, and you hit A or you hit whatever button you've mapped to slip into cover, slide into cover, and you'll get there. Now, if you cancel before you get there, you're now in short mode, and that means that you can only slide or slip a shorter distance to the next cover. And it's right now it's tuned to be about 75%, so it's only a 25% reduction from the overall. And like this has a few implications. What it means is that players are now going to have to keep in mind when they cancel, now there's a difference in mechanics, right? Now I have to be closer to my target. Now, if I happen to slip all the way to a target and don't cancel, that cooldown is eliminated. So I can actually, start a slide, cancel, slide again, and hit cover, and then that cooldown is eliminated. So you go back to long mode. So instead of the button going dead, you now have the button is always live. If you don't make it to the cover in front of you, you're going to misroll. So it's going to punish players that are sort of spamming and don't really think about where they're bouncing to. They're going to have to use their brain and really figure out kind of like where they're going with each slip and with each cancel. So we're going to show you a little bit of it here. Can we cue the video? So this is with the new tuning in there, and we've had one of our QA staff who's can do some reasonable bouncing, and we're sort of looking at what he's having to do here is decide whether he's going to cancel or do a long slip, and when he cancels, he can only go to the next to cover that's within close. And like all of these are success scenarios. He's actually not failing. And you can see here that like the bouncing style, like this is a slower version of what he's doing, and the next, like the video will show a little bit faster version. What's happening here is that we actually can see what the player is doing now, and you can actually see the thought process as the player is bouncing. You can actually track the fact that he's like, oh, I know that this distance here is a little bit too long, so I'm actually going to, not cancel part way, and you can see the fact that he's actually making different decisions as he moves around this cover scenario. Right. So as the map narrows, you get into more narrow corridors, you're going to be able to bounce really fast. You're going to be able to bounce as fast as you can move the controller. There's nothing getting in your way, as long as you're kind of moving laterally between the narrow walls. If you want to start to move like forward faster, you're going to have to either make longer strides or you're going to have to time your cancels properly, right? So this gives players a choice in terms of how they move, and we hope that this leads to like more personal player expression. We're going to take a look at what it means to fail with the new mechanic. So what you can see here is he's bouncing back and forth really quickly, but in a narrow corridor here, and he's going to end up like pointing a little bit further, like too far away. And because he's sort of canceling in the center of the hallway, and he's angled a little bit forward, he's going to misroll, right? And so you can see down there at the bottom of foundation, he slipped into the cover and then went to slip for the wall, but because he had canceled, that wall was now too far away. So there's just subtle changes in angle that's actually going to make it so that you either will make that wall slip or you're going to misroll. So getting to know how you play personally and getting to know the maps and all the right distances is definitely a part of this. And we totally recognize like this is a new mechanic. It does take a little while to learn. Some of the guys here picked up the basics in about 15 or 20 minutes, but it took them a couple days to really get the hang of it. So it might be a little frustrating for some of you that are really used to bouncing with no sort of restrictions, but please give it a try. Let us know what you think. Our goal here is again to like really keep the responsiveness of the game up, make a deeper, more skillful game, and provide a greater variety of personal styles for bouncing. Thanks for watching. We're going to be deploying this new mechanic to the Competitive 2.0 beta playlist on August 3rd. That's this coming Thursday. And we would love to hear what you think. Jump in there. We're going to be also enabling double XP for the whole weekend, so please give it a try. Send us your feedback over Twitter or on the forums. We'd love to hear from you. We'll see you in the playlist.